W3JOE, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you for joining me for another episode of Cup of Joe with Web3 Joe. That's Web3 Job Ops and Events. I'm Gambler, your host. We are here every Wednesday, every Friday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. That's 9:30 a.m. Pacific for our friends on the West Coast. And these spaces are powered by none other than Web3 Job Ops and Events, your hub, headquarters, home base for Web3 talent and recruitment. And once again, we run these spaces every week, twice a week, doing our best to bring on leaders in the space who have gotten their foot in the door at Web3 companies, legitimate teams, and have actually succeeded in adding value, becoming a part of the team and pushing the space forward in their own way. So excited to have you all here with us today. Love to see the room filling up. Shout out Nikki, shout out Min, Blessing, Sid, Sham, shout out Sailor, shout out Mystic, everybody in here, anybody listening to the recording, any of our friends on YouTube and Spotify, because we do share these spaces on YouTube and Spotify as well. Check us out. We appreciate you being here. And let's go ahead and a couple quick announcements. I did pin up top the Spaces promos. If you guys could share those out, give us some love, comments, always appreciated. Also, a couple open job opportunities that we're currently sourcing for at Web3 Job Ops and Events. So tap in with me, tap in with Min in the audience if that sounds like you or someone you know. And then we're also going to be hosting an event around ETH NYC or ETH New York next week. So that's pinned up top as well. Feel free to RSVP. Now, without further ado, let's say hello and happy belated birthday to Miss KB. KB, how are you doing? Happy Wednesday. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, what's up, Jim? Thank you. And yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. Happy to have you here with us. I know you've been a part of the Monad team for a minute. More recently, I have to find out exactly how recently. I saw Kuru Exchange enter your bio. So I know you talk the talk, you walk the walk, and I've had the pleasure of meeting you in person. So shout out to you. Thank you for coming out, taking the time, and sitting down with us for a bit. One more reminder, folks, if you're listening, share out the space, leave us a like, leave us a comment, and later on, we'll have an opportunity for you guys to jump up, join the conversation as well, because we love hearing from you as well. So, Miss KB, to get us started, could you give us a brief background, a little bit on your story and how you made it to this crazy place called Web3?
Yeah, definitely. But just to correct you, so I'm not on the Monad team. It's also pronounced Monad, not Monad, because ticker Mon. But yeah, so I interned for Monad for a few months, about 5 months, I think. And then that's when I got my position at Kuru. So I do work for the Kuru team full time. And right now I'm a Monad alumni, as you like to call them. But they have like a really kind of great, it's like not even an official program, but that's what I felt that I went through. And they really do like nurture the people who are in the community. So, obviously I work in the ecosystem now, and that's essentially how that works. But yeah, so the journey, I always need to like this is always a funny question because I'm like, oh man, I always get asked this, right? And I need to figure out a way to make it short. But I mean, I think COVID times 2020, I bought Doge really early, like under a penny. And I was just curious I was doing a little bit of the Robinhood stocks, and I'm like, well, what's this crypto shit? And Bitcoin, Ethereum, Chainlink, ADA, I was like, my left curve brain was like, I don't understand any of this. But I understood Dogecoin, I understood memes. So that's why I went with Doge at the time, and I didn't have a lot of money. So nothing really happened. And then for like 6 months, and then the whole Elon thing happened. We all know how that went. And so, yeah, I saw an opportunity of like, wow, like you really can make money here. And I think that in the beginning, we all are here for money and opportunity, right? But then you essentially learn. So I started like learning about just crypto blockchain. I got into the NFT space And that was some hard lessons as well. But going into the NFT space and just buying into these things, obviously to get an ROI, you I ran into just like community stuff, and meeting other like-minded people, meeting people in the space. I started going to events, based around NFT NYC and things like that, and we went into that really big bear market, and you just kind of there's like a world that I'm like, all right, like I'm in it, and now I lost all my money and I need to make it back, right? So it's just yeah, right. Like that's you just trauma bonded. I mean, that's how we met, right, Gambler? Like, that's how I know you, through this like bottom of the bear FTX. Solana was $8, and that was like a good year and a half of us just coping. And in that time, you essentially I built my account inadvertently. I made a brand around Pikachu. I was just really having a lot of fun, while not while we weren't having money. I was working IRL as well, and then just being here in the space. They always say, it's time in the market, not time in the market. So I definitely, doing ordinals, and getting into some early coins. I was able to get back into the game, and continue to like be on chain. And so from there, I was able to bounce around from chain to chain. Still going to events, and doing Twitter Spaces, which is, I think crypto and social media, crypto and Twitter, have a very very interesting correlation and coexistence. And that's where you just communicate and like find out about these new things, and keep clicking, click some buttons, and that's essentially how I found Monad, and through just like Twitter and connections and my networks, and yeah, like found Monad. And there's a story about that I can tell you guys about later, but yeah, that's basically like I just stumbled my way into this position and into this space. So yeah, that's a gist of it.
So it's Monad. Are you sure you're not trolling me right now? Because
No,
I'm pretty
100%,
sure.
100%. So I said Monad for like a good 5 months. And that was like doing Twitter Spaces and everything. And then there was this interview. I don't know if there's a few of you guys in the audience, in the community, if you know which interview I'm talking about. There's like a 60-second interview with Keone, and they ask, "Is it monad or monad?" And he goes, "Monad." So ever since then, I'm like, "Oh fuck, I've been saying this shit wrong." Sorry for my language. And yeah, so it's monad, and it makes sense because you wouldn't say ticker moan. That's like you're gonna say
I don't know if that's why it makes
yeah, you're gonna
sense.
say ticker mon. That makes sense. Monad, ticker
I
mon.
don't know if that's why it makes
That
sense, but I'm
makes
gonna let you
sense to
have that one
me.
because I have a follow up, and then we need to get back on track. Do you say GIF or do you say GIF?
GIF.
See, well, it's GIF. So if
It's
you
GIF.
wanna, I'm just letting you know.
It's GIF.
The same logic you just used. The dude who created the term GIF says it's GIF. So
Damn it.
I don't know what to tell you,
Did he really?
but yeah, you can. That's actually like one of those really random facts that I
All
happen to
right, so
know.
I guess I'll
I,
say GIF. All
you
right, I'll
either
say
hate
GIF.
me or love me if you're hearing this right now in the audience. Listen. Don't kill the messenger. I'm just letting you know. Just letting you know. Look it up. Google it. Ask ChatGPT. We're gonna keep it pushing, but I do relate to a lot of what you said. I actually got in with Doge as well. I didn't get in super early, but I got in just early enough to ride it up. Think Elon was gonna make me rich. He did not make me rich. But I stuck around and I was like, all right, well, what can I do? And I want to ask you, because, like, again, being part of that same class, like, would you have it any other way? Like, if you could, because I always say I came in just in time to be exit liquidity, but I say that as a joke. And like you said, I took that time to stick around, learn, connect with people, and that's what's given me the opportunities that I have today. So, like, how do you feel? Would you have it any other way if you could go back and be like, okay, maybe you get in at the beginning of the bull instead? Or are you kind of happy with the path you ended up with?
I mean, if I could have been class of 2017, like, yeah, I would have taken that for sure. If I would have known more, I mean, yeah, like, I think that, I mean, that it's just like that's like a hard question, right? Because with every cycle, you gain and you learn, right? And even like this technically being our second cycle, like, I still had a lot of fucking hard lessons. Like, I fucked up a lot. Sorry, I keep cursing, but like, I messed up a lot. So, I think that with this space there comes experience. So it would have been better if I came in earlier, 100%, because you're only as good as like your experiences and your time, right? Like they say, like if you do 10,000 hours of one thing, you're a professional, you're an expert, right? So the longer you're in this place, the longer you understand, the better you are. So like yes, like I would 100% would have rather been in this a lot earlier than I was. You knew about crypto. Like I knew about crypto during Silk Road, but like I was too paranoid to use that and I didn't understand it. So if I did, I'd be hella rich. So yeah, but and I definitely am grateful for when I did get in, because it would be hard to get in now. And I know there's some questions, we'll touch on that as well.
Yeah, I think I definitely would love to just to have been here earlier, but I think like for me, at least for me, getting in when I got in, I think was good because I think if I would have got in at the beginning of the bowl, like I would have been more focused on trading. Whereas since I got in kind of near the top or whatever, and then I had all that bear to kind of, if you want to be here, you got to be doing something other than trading often, especially if you want to sustain. So like for me, I think that specifically helped me establish the mindset. I think I would have made it here eventually anyway, but I think it might have taken longer if I was like distracted by the glitz and glam of the bull. Whereas the way that I came in, I kind of this is kind of the first bull that I'm experiencing since whenever it started, whenever you want to say it started a year or 2 years ago. But yeah, one more question, and then I want to get into like the practical stuff of like getting hired. Do you have any like milestones that you're like especially proud of over these last few years in crypto?
I mean, I would say going from just like crypto degen to full-time career in crypto is like a giant milestone and one that I didn't really anticipate. And yeah, like, I guess like my follower count is okay.
All right, here we go with the follower count. Uh, yeah, and you know what? You were somebody that kind of never saw yourself going down this path, right? Like I kind of remember when you first went off with Monad, you were a little bit hesitant, if I remember correctly. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you weren't always. This wasn't always the plan, right? And now it seems like you were made for it the entire time.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to succumb to the VCs, but now I'm fully VC funded. But it's not so bad over here. No, I mean, like, I think it's not even about that. It was more so I've been in crypto and I did work kind of obscure jobs previously. And I think the hardest thing for me and like with crypto and like morals in general is that a lot of this is like vapor, right? And so my biggest issue with just working in anything in this industry was that like it wasn't sustainable and it was vapor and it wasn't going to last, right? And so like I didn't want to put my name behind that, and I just wanted peace. And also, this industry is kind of ran by clowns and like nothing serious, and people just want money. And there's a lot of people that try to like leverage, and extract. And I'm a yapper and I'm active, and I have a decent platform. So there were people in the past that would try to leverage that. So that was more so like what I didn't like want to happen. But with Monad, like I obviously went into it being like, okay, like how can I be early to something, because my experience being early with ordinals was so net positive for me that I was like, where, like, what can I do next? And just kind of reading into it, I'm like, oh, like I get this. Like I saw the vision pretty early on, for like what they wanted to do. And this is more so on like a 10-year timeline, not like a year timeline. So I was I am bullish on it, and at the time I was. And so I really just wanted to, get in good with the community, and I was given an opportunity that I know that I had said that like I wasn't going to work in Web3, but it was an opportunity that I had to just kind of like put that aside and take essentially. So I ran with it.
They gave you an offer you couldn't refuse. Sounds like.
I mean, it wasn't even that big of an offer. It was just kind of like, get in with like, just kind of, hey, like interning with, a really big L1. And there's, I mean, it's not even that like, I mean, I was interning, right? It wasn't even crazy pay at the time. And so now, like, now I'm happy with what I have with Kuru, right? So, but it's not even, it's still pretty modest, to be honest, because like we are a startup, and so those are things you have to remember. And I think the biggest shift in my mindset, which is like a lot healthier, is that you kind of come into, and especially like a lot of people in this space are very immature, and not even like in like emotionally immature, but like financially immature, with not much life experience. And so you kind of go into this with the mindset, also like there's a lot of desperation here, and just with the way society is, and jobs, right? So like you kind of come in here being like, I need to make $1 million off like the $10 that I have, right? And so like and that's everybody. That's, I mean, like me too. Like I turned my $200 in Doge into money that I'd never seen before, and I'm like, how do I get more of this? Because I'm fucking just an American in this like crazy country. Everything's expensive, um, and so anyways, yeah, I'm rambling, but basically you go into this wanting to make $1 million, make $10 million, retire and leave off of just clicking a button. And like that mentality is so toxic and so unhealthy. And honestly, it's just not feasible. And that's how everyone just loses their money. And that's how you get depression. And that's how you lose. And so now, like, because of like these opportunities, because of these jobs and these careers, I am able to shift my mind to being like, well, if I work really hard and I can make this amount of money a year, right? That is above average salary in America. I get to do remotely in my room. I get to meet people around the world, and I can continue building this career. You can get, equity. You can do this. So like I've shifted my whole mindset to being like, well, I don't really need a 1000x. Like I have a really good full-time job that I love and that I'm good at. So that's kind of where I'm like this kind of shifted where like I'm good. Like 1000x would be nice, like don't get me wrong, but like if it comes, it comes.
Yeah, and when I said they gave you an offer you couldn't refuse, I definitely meant like the whole package, right? Like the opportunity in itself and the way that it's paid off in you now being able to work with Kuro and all the amazing connections that you made along the way, the value you've added. And that's really what I wanted to get to, right? Because I know people are listening who are curious to know how they could do something similar. You also touched earlier on like the fact that you kind of fell into it, which is something a lot of people say. And I think, tell me what you think about this, but I think part of the reason people say that is because this space, more than any other space, I would say, really rewards those who are authentic and actually want to add value and push things forward. And so when people are naturally that way, they end up with these stories where they're at Kuru Exchange and they're saying, "Oh, I just fell into it." And some people may be listening, and sometimes us ourselves may be looking back, like, "How did I get here?" Right? But that's why we want to have these conversations to kind of make it that much more practical and easy for people to understand. So, on that note, like, what is some advice you have, KB, for people listening to get their foot in the door, get that conversation started with a team they potentially would like to work for?
I think it depends on like the level that you're at, and kind of like I know it's very hard for like smaller accounts. And I guess I'll just share what happened with me. And so, and it wasn't, it was a little different, right? Because the beautiful thing about Web3 is that like we are such a small and like niche industry. And so like these big CEOs and employers are pretty easily accessible, if you don't have like an inner connection, especially if they're active like online. And so if you're trying to like reach someone in particular, or stand out to to a company, or to an employer, I would definitely start with putting their notifications on Twitter, and stay in tune with like what they're doing. If it's not that CEO, in particular, people that work under that CEO that work with that company. There's a ton of growth people. And so just like follow the people that are like involved in this like protocol that you're trying to like reach out to, and just be in tune with what they're doing, be in tune with their tweeting, and like where they're at. And so then at some point you'll be able to kind of find something in common to catch their attention. And so like and so I'll share like my kind of how what I did, where I told you that I wasn't really looking for a job at Monad at the time. I don't know what I was doing. Shout out Venom in the crowd. He was the one that was kind of like, you should get in with Monad, and he always like has seen like potential like in me and like my growth. And I'm just like, all right, like like what's this like Monad thing about? But Tunes was one of the accounts I had followed because he was growth. And so obviously he's a big giant account. There's a lot of people trying to get his attention. And so whatever, I followed him into a space. And so this was like alpha space, and this was right, I think, when Monad was doing their really big campaign. I think Thread Guy had just gotten hired. And everyone's like kind of bullshitting on this space, and not many people are really knowing what Monad is, but I knew, because I did some research. And I just was like, everyone's like, oh, yo, what's up, KB? And I'm like, yo, why do you guys want to talk to me? Like, Tunes is on this space. Like, Tunes, like, tell us about Monad. And it just kind of gave him this like intro at the time. And we just like bullshitted on this space for like an hour or two or something. And then from there, he had followed me back, and we talked about a Telegram chat, right? Like there is a Telegram chat, still going. And yeah, like I DM'd him and was like, hey, like so nice to connect. So funny, like these little like networking things. Right now I'm like, fuck you, Tunes. But like, at the time I'm like, oh, it's so nice to connect, like blah blah whatever. Like I would love to join like your community. And that's how I got in the chat. And then like 2 weeks, and then I invited him on a space with like my friends, because I'm like, oh, like this paradigm back like L1 and like whatever. And I was like, Tunes, you want to like come to like our space? And so after that, he just kind of saw, like, he saw talent, right? He knew what he was doing. Like this was his job. He was building the ecosystem, and he saw that I could hold the space. He saw that I could yap. He saw that I took initiative. And I was just doing me. I was just like, okay, how can I get my friends a whitelist? Like how can I do this? Like that was just what the vibe was, right? That's just what we were doing. And by doing that, you're just like inadvertently being a leader for a community of your friends. And yeah, like Tunes is a very smart guy, and he was like, yeah, I need her on the community team for this intern chat. And that's just kind of how it happened. So that, like that's like my best piece of advice is like, study who you're trying to like, don't just cold DM like I want to be a mod. Like, GM, sir, can I mod for you? Like, bro, you don't even know I'm a fucking girl. Like, get out of my face. So you'd be surprised. Like, people just don't give effort. And so just like put a little bit of effort into it, and like it will go a long way. So that's my advice.
That is really good advice, and it covered themes that we've heard on this show before, and I think it almost boils down to like be authentic, right? Because you genuinely had interest in Monad. I don't have to train my brain to say Monad, but you had to genuinely have interest in Monad and do your research. have those connections with alpha, actually be the individual that you are, where you can request up, they add you up on stage, they listen to you when KBN mutes and says, hey, why haven't you guys started talking to Tunes? And so you were ready, you were prepared for the opportunity, you were being authentic, you were being prepared, making sure you were prepared, and then you were actually extending that olive branch, right? Jumping up on stage, sending that corporate DM, that we hate, but that's how you get conversations started, and then you get to, hopefully get close relationships later. But that's how it's done. It's like, be authentic, be prepared, and then actually shoot the shot. So I think that there's a lot in like your story that people can pick up on, and hopefully like use in their strategies, getting their foot in the door sometimes. And sometimes and often there's a reason that that phrase is popular, right? Like getting your foot in the door. Because once you can get that foot in the door, you can kind of wiggle. It's a lot easier to wiggle yourself in than it is if the door is just closed in your face. So create opportunities, be prepared, be authentic. All lessons we can learn from Miss KB. Now KB, you got your foot in the door, you were ready, you jumped up on the space, you got the conversation going. Now it's interview time. So what are some tips, what is some advice you have for people listening, whether it be on interview questions you might hear or ways that they can prepare to go into the interview and be successful?
Oh man. I never really got interviewed. I don't know, like it's
That's good insight. That's good
yeah,
insight too.
it's like I was like with Kuru, like I was interviewed, but like with even like with Kuru too, like it was again like when you're it's hard to say this without sounding like an asshole, but like when you're like good talent and like you're sought out after, like it's almost like the company's interviewing for you, right? And like, but then there is like etiquette that you need to, because like you can also like mess it up and be like, oh, obviously go to interview like clean and proper, go in with like knowing what you're doing. I think there's like both sides to this, right? And so, I was I don't even have a resume. Like that was another thing that you had in your questions. Like I don't even have a resume, and it was the whole thing was like so seamless, and it was like okay, like I'm like all right, well what is what are we working for and what are we doing and like what is your position, and so just be like as honest as you can for like what you want to do, right? Like part of my position was like being, and you can fake it till you make it, but like you also like want to be like honest with people, right? And so like part of my job is being on the Discord. I'm like, hey, listen, like I will do it, but like I don't know anything about Discord, so like I can't set this up. Yeah, fucking soul cells like, yeah, she doesn't. It's like, yeah, I can't set this up. Like you need top notch security, like so like there's like definitely things that I was like I can do that for sure, but like you need to like do this for me. So yeah, I think like just know what you're going in for, and also like Chat GPT is your best friend. Like you can ask Chat GPT like just little tips and tricks, and I think people you know definitely don't obviously write a resume with just Chat GPT. Like you got to give it some of your personality, but yeah, I think I always just go into interviews like myself, and you got to be confident, and I know that's like really hard because it can be really nerve wracking. So it might be like really shit advice on my part. but, but yeah, I don't know. I just was kind of thrown into all of it. So if if they want you, they want you. And so, definitely just have confidence in yourself, I think.
Well, confidence for sure, and I think one place that confidence comes from is like self-awareness, right? So like if you're again genuine and authentic and you actually care about the team you're going for and you actually are capable to do what you got to do, then and you have that self-awareness, then it should be that much easier for you to be confident, right? The other thing you noted is like you don't even have a resume. In your specific unique case, they were almost pitching to you, right? They were very interested in you. They saw what you could do, what you were already doing without being paid, and they saw where you could add to the team. In my experience, I think a little bit too many people think that they can get away with not having a resume if they're like really going for it. Now that isn't the case for you. You like you said, it kind of fell into it just being yourself. But I think people listening should consider, again, back to that self awareness. How big is your account? How much engagement are you really getting? You know, maybe you used to get a bunch of, do you show up to events? Do people know you? Are you welcome on spaces, stages? And for every single team that you're going for, those things are going to matter at different levels, and only you are going to know. You're going to know better than anybody. So just be self-aware. Don't be big-headed, and then be ready to humble yourself too, right? Like even KB said when she went for Kuru, there was still an interview. There's still formalities that you have to do. Don't put yourself above things, right? So great advice. Now, we're about halfway through this space. By the way, shout out to everybody for listening. Shout out to our incredible guest KB. Shout out Teacher Jessica. Shout out Iceman. Shout out Diggy, Sunwind Moon, Blessing, Sid. Shout out to the cats, Drakey, 2 times Sham, Slow Brother. Everybody listening. Anybody listening, recording, anybody on YouTube or Spotify, we appreciate you. And we will start accepting people to jump up, join the stage, ask any questions, contribute. I know a bunch of you listening have experience in this world as well and have something to add, but if you have something to ask, we'd love to hear from you also. Moving forward, where are we at? What are some good ways to negotiate an offer, KB? I have a feeling this ties to like self-awareness as well. What are some tips that people can keep in mind when it's finally time to negotiate that offer?
Yeah, I think like stand your ground and like, always shoot higher. They're gonna negotiate lower or like, stand your ground. This there isn't as much talent in this industry as you would think. And like companies need like in my line of work at least in like marketing, community lead, like these things. I can't speak on like developers or devs or anything like that. That's a whole different thing. But at least in like my line of work and like what I do, like they need kind of like guerrilla marketing, like boots on the ground, degens, and there really isn't as much as like you would think there is that are good and also that are like that have a good reputation. So like and work out a deal where over time you can grow your salary increase with like performance reviews. While I don't necessarily have a traditional resume, I do have a baller performance review on my performance over the year with analytics, and connections and things that I've done over time for Kuru. And then back into like what I was saying before, like ChatGPT is also your best friend in these situations. You always want to have something written out. And so it can write in a professional manner and create contracts for you for exactly what you're looking for. And so it's like, I want this number with this equity over time. And like, I want like these reviews and be able to increase by that time because a lot of the time, if you're working for a startup, there may not be a revenue stream, right? So like you have to take that into consideration. So always when you're negotiating your price, make sure that like if they can't pay what you want and or like if they're essentially giving you some like a trial period, just make sure there's always room for these performance reviews so that you can grow your salary over time as well.
Yeah, that's a great tip. I remember when it kind of hit me that I could do that, right? That like that's kind of the alternative to like, can I get paid more? No. Okay, then the conversation doesn't have to end there. It can be, okay, well, like what would you be looking for? What can I show to you? What can I bring to you as evidence to get me to this point, then to this point, then to this point? Or is that also not possible or on the table? Because like you want to know that too. They'll tell you. So really, really great tip. KB. Moving forward to our theme of the week. So every week we try to have a theme related to getting started in Web3, working in Web3. And this week it's Web 2 versus Web 3. So KB, what are some misconceptions? You touched on it a little bit before, but maybe you can expand on that. What are some misconceptions folks may have about working in Web 3?
So I think the misconceptions about working Web3, like, all right, my contract says like 40 hours a week, but like that I'm working, but there is no like 9 to 5, 8 hour days here. Like you cannot shut off at 5 p.m. And I see this kind of when people from Web 2 try to come and work at Web 3. Like my founder, our devs, all our company partners, like we're all in complete different time zones. I was sending work DMs at 1 a.m. last night. So, like, if you can't handle that, then, like, like the work never really stops. And you have to be able to, like, set aside time for yourself to, like, find balance. Like, if you don't want to work on the weekends, like, that's like okay, right? But you have to make sure you, like, it's like I'll get to this, but but you can, but there's sometimes where you do have to work on the weekends, or there's sometimes where like I need to do something and I need to work out something with Daniel, who is like, my right hand man, assistant, mod in Kuru, and he's in Indonesia, so like I have to be up at 1 a.m. working some shit out with him so that he can like do it while I'm sleeping, and I wake up in the morning and then I get to it. So like that I think that's probably the biggest misconception, is that it's maybe that it's easy, and it's just very demanding and time consuming.
Yeah, that one seems to come up. I think it might have come up every single time we've done this show so far, and we're on episode 5 of like just understanding that part of like being a part of this global community is being a part of a global community, which means 24 different time zones all around the world. And if you want to get things done, that's not always going to fit between a structured like 9 to 5, like you said. So that's definitely one of the and also I think that's coupled and related to like another misconception which we've heard before from our other guests of like some people might think that working full-time in Web3 is a lot, maybe even mostly of just shit posting and modding a Discord, and that has a place and a role, and it's definitely important, I would say, but I would even say most roles are not like that, and most roles you have to really want to be here, right? If you're looking for something easy, I don't think that Web3 is going to give you that. But if you're looking for something worthwhile and that you get that much more fulfillment out of from still working harder, but you get X's, exponential more fulfillment, I think for me it's worth it. And like I love it here, so that's why we're having these conversations. So, if you're interested, maybe you can get involved one way or another. Um, what are some nuances to getting hired in Web3 that aren't as prominent in Web2? Again, you covered a few of them already, but just to double back, what are some things that may be different or specific to getting hired in Web3 compared to Web2?
I think the biggest one is that you don't need a college degree to land a six-figure job.
Okay, what do you need?
You just need to be hungry.
Oh, come on, give the people a little bit more than hungry. What are they? You're right,
Yeah.
but like
I
on
mean
a practical level.
like I think that I mean kind of like everything that I've been saying, right? Like maybe I'm like a unicorn in this or something, but just I don't know, being what you need is, at least in my line of work, right? Like you just need to be a good fucking person and like not scam anybody. Like it's so like the bar is so extremely low here. And that is what I'm saying, in the sense of like, you don't need like, all you need to land these like crazy jobs is dedication, commitment, being genuine, and like not scamming people, and having like a good reputation. A reputation here is worth everything. And then yes, a large account does help. So like build your account, right? Like if you're if you're a low follower account, like start building it, right? Start making connections with people, and do it that way. Like I had my account was like I think at like 12K or something before Monad, It wasn't, and so like getting kind of having that power. And I don't do like rage baity stuff. I don't do like farming stuff, right? So like there's a ways to grow your account that could be, not the best way, or like maybe a little bit of a net negative. But when you're doing things like organically, like it does kind of help with like the hires and everything. So yeah, you don't really need that much experience either, like just and yeah, like anything is kind of, I think this space has like a lot of opportunity for a lot of people. And there's a lot of people here who don't want to work and don't have work ethic, and they are just trying to make a $10 into a million and like leave. So like if you have work ethic, if you're here to for the long haul and are a good person, like I think good things will happen.
I agree. Now, let's say you have a friend who has an offer. They kind of fell into it like you, so they weren't out here like grinding for it and maybe super intentionally, but a team, reputable team, sought out to them, saw their talent, and put an offer on the table. What is some advice that you would give this friend before they decide whether or not to accept the offer?
I think don't sell yourself short. I mean, I definitely have a lawyer, so get a lawyer to look over your contracts. If especially like uh, I think there's a lot of, again, immaturity and inexperience. Like even for me, right? Like I was a wedding photographer. I'm still a wedding photographer. I still work IRL, right? So like this is all very new for me as well. I didn't have a lot of experience. I just had experience in this space. But when you're dealing with big money, when you're dealing with companies, you're dealing with contracts, like always like, find a lawyer, and make sure you know what you're signing and what you're signing up for, and be 100% that like you're aligning with this product and this project. You can't, if you're not passionate about something and you're trying to sell it, then like you're just not going to have a good time. Like for me, like Kuru made sense because I'm not trading right now, but I loved trading like before, and buying meme coins. And I get it, it makes sense. Like this makes sense to me. I've never staked a coin in my life, so working for a staking protocol, I just wouldn't align for me. So like just little things like that make a big difference.
Absolutely. Don't sell yourself short, and then like just make sure that it's actually what you want to do, right? Great advice. I've got a couple more questions. If anybody wants to jump up, now would be the time to hit that request button, join the conversation. Otherwise, we are going to start winding down. But Miss KB, this is our hot sip tip of the day. It's like Web3 Joe, couple, brew coffee. We got the coffee thing going in like 15 to 30 seconds. What advice, again, you've been giving us nothing but advice this entire 45 minutes, but like 15 to 30 seconds, top of mind, what advice would you give to people listening right now who want to start or advance their career in Web3?
Read and write, learn, be patient, move slowly with caution, do not quit your day job. Like I still work full time IRL, and I don't think I'll quit my day job for at least another 3 years, until I'm like 100% comfortable in my position here. And so, and with that, like if you are coming from a place of desperation, you're not going to attract the abundance you're looking for. So, you know, don't be desperate.
Boom, banger advice. I love that you started with read. That's one thing we don't do enough of in 2025. I know I don't. We got headphones up here. Headphone, how are you doing? Thank you for joining the stage. What would you like to add?
Hi guys. I'm Solsal. You can call me Solsal. Hi KB. Happy to see you here as always in the spaces. KB, I have a question about being dogs and not be dogs. Do you see any difference um, for getting opportunities in Web3 if you are dogs? Like, some projects do not trust you because they don't know you, they haven't seen your face or your IDs. Do you think that you got dogs got more opportunities?
Yeah, I do. I'm not gonna lie and say no. I think being doxxed in this space is a very like catch 22. And it is risky and it's like mildly annoying. But yeah, I think that when speaking on spaces and being doxxed is probably the two biggest hacks to growing your account, because that will separate you into just being an alt account or being this or being that, right? So like, people hear your voice and then they see your photos and then you go to IRL events. I think also on the cherry to that is also IRL events. Like that's how, Gambler and I, like we met IRL, right? Like, so this is probably like the formula for everything. Like every time I go to an IRL event, I get like offers, at least 3 offers every time. Like, and I'm like, so that's it, and there is something in that. But like, I don't think it's like impossible, right? Like Daniel, who works for me, like he works for Kuru, but he's kind of like my hire essentially. Like, he's not docs IRL, but like he did docs to us in an interview, right? So like, if you are wanting to work in this industry, like you're gonna, you definitely are going to need to like docs to who you are working for, because like you want that connection, and you don't want to work for somebody who isn't doxed either. And you want to give, like, you're going to have your contract, like I'm fully contracted, like all my info, address, all of that good stuff. So like, it gets to a point in when you're working and who you're working for. So like, be careful. Like, would you work for somebody that you're not comfortable giving your information to? If you're not, then you probably shouldn't work for them. Right. So like, that's kind of a big thing. But I do respect people not being doxxed. Like, but there's plenty of people though that are not doxxed on the timeline that have like full-time jobs here though. So it's not like the all in, like you don't have to just to get these opportunities. But I think in the beginning for me, I doxed pretty early on. It was probably a big help.
You're right. Now I get it when you told us you need a lawyer. You just check all the contract with your lawyer because this is pretty sensitive. Having your information through the Web3 is a little bit risky. And yeah, you just made a perfect decision for that. Thank you.
Yeah, great question, Soul Sal. Thanks for coming up with that one. I'm going to save that one for future episodes because it's a really good question. And great answer on your end, KB. We're winding down, gang. If anybody wants to jump up, hit that request button. Now would be the time. Shout out to our friends listening, Teacher, Nikki, Kels, Jessica, Diggy, Iceman, Mas. Shout out Sun, Wind, Moon, Blessing, Cats, Slow. Everybody listening, we appreciate you being here. We are getting to the final few minutes. KB, we're winding down. Any final thoughts? You've given us so much game, so much insight in these last 45 minutes or so. Any final thoughts you'd like to double click on or highlight before we get up out of here?
My final thoughts. Thank you. Also, I did write something here that I thought was interesting, but yeah, be careful what you tweet. Be careful what you tweet. Don't create enemies, and don't scam, and know your worth. Reputation is everything, and also like this is a very small space, so you never know who you're being mean to. You never know, like, you know any of that stuff. So treat this as a small town, right? And you never know who someone knows. And just be respectful, especially to women in Web3. There's, that's such a corny statement, but there isn't like a lot of us here, And I also know there's a lot of cultural differences. But that doesn't really make an excuse for behavior. So if you do come from a different culture, right, and you want to make it in the space, understand that it is a global industry. And while maybe some things are okay in your world, it may not be okay in other people's world. And so, not don't only learn about crypto, like just learn about like self-awareness and learn about worldwide culture and respect in this industry, because like as a woman with some power, right, and some status, right, there is that you kind of run into, unfortunately. And I will never react on the timeline, but I will always send out a silent army to kind of destroy you from within. So just be wary.
Be mindful, ladies and gentlemen. Be mindful on the timeline. Be mindful at IRL events. Keep your hands to yourself. Remember that global community that we're talking about. Your culture is beautiful. All our cultures are beautiful. When we come together, we want to do our best to make all of us feel comfortable and welcome so we can all benefit to this dope thing we got going here, right? So we can get more KBs and more amazing people like Teacher and Nikki and Jessica and all these amazing people out, and us contributing to the greater good, as corny as that sounds. And of course, in the final minutes, we do have a hard stop in about 5 minutes, but we got a few new speakers on stage, and I want to do my best to get to all of them. Let's throw it over to Blade, then we will go Sarah, then Slow. Blade, how are you doing? Thanks for joining us. What would you like to add?
I'm great. Well, I was doing great until you shouted out everyone but me, and I was like, "Yo, what the fuck? I need to hop on the stage, tell them what's
Well,
happening."
I knew that's what it would take. I knew that's what it would take, Blade. So now that you're
Yeah,
here,
I got
what have you
summoned,
thought of the
bro.
conversation? You're getting a lot of thumbs down. Let us know, how's that making you feel?
Bro, I'm used to it. You know what I'm saying? Like KB and her army that she threatened everybody with. Bro, that army comes for me on the daily, every day. I wake up and I see death threats from them. You know what I'm saying? And I'm still here. I'm still standing.
Wait,
Deserved.
is KB gang stalking you?
Bro, KB's a gang leader. You guys just don't know about it.
Gang leader.
Nah, dude, that's
The
crazy. I just
best.
wanted to make a comment on her gang stalking threat, that it was very based, and I'm interested in the dynamics of that, like what sort of situation she has orchestrated for that. Very based, KB. Good job with the gang stalking. That's all I had to say. To
As if
to
stalking,
piggyback on Acer.
as if stalking wasn't scary enough. Now we have gang stalking.
Well, gang stalking is like different. Like usually it's people who are like paranoid psychotics. When people say gang, like there's two, like there's internet gang stalking, which is like actual, to mansplain this, I'm sorry. If you already know, it sounded like you didn't. So that's why there's like gang stalking where people are crazy and they think they're being like followed by the FBI when like really no one cares about them. And then there's gang stalking, like you actually orchestrate a bunch of people to like fuck with somebody online, very subtly. And it sounds like that's what KB is doing in that space. Good job, KB.
Sarah, is that accurate? I feel like you might have some insight here.
No, it's accurate and deserved.
Are you a part of the KB gang? I don't know if you can share that with us or not.
No
This,
comment.
this is turning into an episode of Gangland. We're gonna have to like cover you guys' fees and stuff.
I love
Uh,
it.
Sham, how you doing? Thanks for joining the stage. What would you like to add?
Yeah, I'm just the guy from another country that KB's talking about. So I'm the gang from the overseas. So don't fuck with KB. But KB, when you gonna come back to Singapore, man?
I know.
I'm back.
I know. I had to come back. There's something going on with Monad, but I don't think I'm going this year. Maybe next year. We're trying to wait until mainnet, and then I think once mainnet hits and we're live, we'll probably be doing a lot more trips.
Arf, arf, arf.
When event in the United States?
I know. We need more people.
Real.
But I'm down, Sarah. We can plan something.
Aw,
I mean there has to be some type of mainnet event, probably like
yeah.
in New York or something, is what I'm assuming, but I know nothing. I know nothing.
Okay. That's fair.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, JPEGs and meme enjoyers, KB gang, and non-affiliates. Thank you for coming out. This has been Cup of Joe with Web3 Joe, episode 5, with none other than the legend Miss KB Crypto Baby. Make sure you throw her a follow, engage with her content, check out her pinned post, which is pinned up top. And again, shout out to all alarm went off. Shout out to all the legends that joined the stage as well. Everybody listening, recording, anybody listening live, we appreciate you, and we will be back this Friday at the same time, 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 12:30 p.m. Eastern. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you. We're rooting for you, and we will see you soon.